Welcome back to the Bullpen Mafia in the shadow of Lone Depot Park, where all of the action took place yesterday. Toad and I are in the building. Petey, Northeast correspondent, looking good in that Mafia blue.
Boys,
Petey, how good does it feel to say Bronx
I knew
blue,
you were gonna say
baby?
it. Don't give me that bullshit. Listen, it's blue. I like the color blue. I saw and all of our listeners, you guys will see the website soon. When you guys ever wrote Bronx blue on there, like, come on, dude, like,
come on. Right. In fairness, this is Monster Green hat.
Yeah, that's true.
Monster Green hat.
Yeah. That's
so
fine.
We are pandering to the Northeast. We got our Yankees stuff.
The initial inspiration for those shirts was the Yankees Red Sox rivalry.
Yeah, that is
something
true.
that you and I have talked about, Petey. Obviously, I'm a Yankee fan. Toad, maybe a Yankee fan after Jazz getting traded. I don't know. Last night, Toad impulse purchase. Petey, let's run through the timeline of events. So, a couple things we want to talk on the outset first. Number one, like and subscribe where possible. We really have enjoyed the last couple weeks. We've gotten some great engagement. We've had some great interviews. Legends of Dade, Adrian Lorenzo, Craig Mish to talk about the Marlins deadline. We've got Nick Martinez coming on the back end of this episode. So we've got some great stuff lined up. Like and subscribe wherever possible. Give us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Toad's proud of me because we talked about that before we hopped on here.
Hell yeah.
But we keep on, alluding to it. The merch is finally here. It's landed. It has arrived. The Shopify, not the easiest and most friendly user experience. That is for damn sure. Toad and I last night learned the hard way, Petey. But I'm in Toad's kitchen. I'm on my hands and knees, taking inventory, counting shirts, counting hats. Toad is taking photos, photoshopping. We got the TV on in the other room. All of a sudden, we hear click. Jazz Chisholm rounding the bases, home run number 1. Okay, so now this is the 3rd home run he's hit in 2 nights for the Yankees. Night continues on. I haven't made much progress with Shopify. Toad is pissed off. We're trying to take photos. We're trying to get this website off the ground. Jazz Chisholm hits another home run, Petey. Okay,
yeah.
So now Jazz has 4 bombs in his first 3 games as a Yankee.
The first Yankee to hit 4 home runs in his first 3 games with the franchise.
So Jazz is rounding the bases. Toad goes, I think I got to get the jersey.
No.
I didn't give an opinion. I said, I don't know. Because Toad is a now Mets fan.
I love New York baseball.
Toad is a New York baseball fan. Okay,
Jazz is my guy. If there's ever an athlete who is meant to play in the big, bright lights of New York City, it is Jazz Chisholm. Coming out of the Fenway dugout. Petey, I know you loved it. Coming out of the Fenway dugout.
Hated
backwards cap. The diamond shine bright like a diamond.
Bro, I'm not letting that fly, by the way. If I'm booing, there's no way, dude. You can come out like that. You can dap the boys up in the dugout. I don't care. The second you take the field, dude, that goddamn hat better be.
A Red Sox guy being the gatekeeper of the Pinstripes is hilarious.
But
spreading the news.
We need some Sinatra to open up this episode, bro. Dude, Toad, before I could even get out of his complex, sends me a screenshot.
Come on.
Number 13, blue jersey, Chisholm Jr. on its way
so
to
fresh.
Kendall, baby.
It is so fly.
Listen, Petey, I will say whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Those home runs were, dude, in a hostile. That's Philly,
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
He's getting chirped.
Yeah.
4 bombs. That was cool. That was cool to see. And granted, it was tough for us to see. We talked about it with Craig Mish.
Yeah, it's
tough for the Marlins
It's really not easy to watch. He was a fan favorite.
Yeah.
The face of the franchise the last 5 years. More so on a personal level, I'm just happy that the guy's going to get an opportunity to showcase his talents in front of significant crowds and play competitive baseball, meaningful games for the first time in his career late in the season. But it was, did I get caught up in the moment? Yeah. Is the jersey cool? Yeah. And that's it.
Bro, the reason why I can't get mad is because, like, you guys know, like, I'm at the game with Brady and his buddy and his dad for his buddy's birthday the other night, Saturday night. And then it was Saturday. When did they acquire him? Was it Saturday night?
He played Sunday Night Baseball.
He played Sunday Night Baseball, so they acquired him sometime on Saturday. And like, Brady's all ecstatic, but like I gotta tell him, he's like, son, you gotta understand, he's wearing pinstripes now. You can't like him. When he's on the Marlins, it's okay. And I get it. And you see the drip and you see the flair and all this other stuff that he has. Like, I get it. It's flashy. You want to be that player, but we just can't. We can't, son. We can't. He's wearing pinstripes.
If Brady were awake right now, I'd tell him, Brady, Jazz Chisholm jersey, it's on its way from the Mafia, from the Miami Mafia, baby, not the Northeast crap you're brainwashing him with.
If you send me a Jazz Chisholm Yankees jersey, dude, I will send you a video of me throwing that into the fire pit, dude, and burning that thing.
Well, Petey, you were in the building for rivalry weekend, right? Red Sox, Yankees, some absolutely great games. Red Sox playing much better, but go ahead.
No, just like the atmosphere on Saturday night, it felt like it was back. That's like, and I've been to Fenway quite a few times over the last couple of years. The energy in there, the Yankees suck chants, the go Yankees, dude. There was 30-40% Yankees fans, and they're like always like it's. I would say the past couple of years, you could call it a 50-50 split in there, right? Because people are pissed off with the Red Sox, they're pissed off with the front office, they're pissed off with what they're doing. Now that team rides a high into the All-Star break, a little skid coming off the All-Star break. Then all of a sudden you got the Yankees coming into town, two teams playing pretty good baseball, kind of neck and neck there in the AL East, neck and neck in the wild card. And then, dude, it was a absolutely picture perfect night, 75 degrees, sunny, electric, dude. That first inning, Judge, I still don't know if that ball's landed.
Unbelievable. Was that the ball to the dead center in that camera well?
No, that was Friday night. Saturday night, he hit one, dude, and it was just like everybody knew it. Like Cutter Crawford was immediately like head down asking for a new one. But like Javi, you couldn't see the ball. Like that's how fast it left the park. And like those are the ones that like around here you'd be like, hey, that one landed on the Mass Pike. The Mass Pike's another 400 feet like beyond that monster, probably at least. But again, dude, I feel like the rivalry. I feel like it's back. Which leads me to believe, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, that Red Sox fans they may be happy with what happened at the deadline. They may feel like this team's invested. I don't. I'll talk about it a little bit more, but we're gonna wait till we get into that.
That was also the inaugural night for Bullpen Mafia merch at a stadium because Petey had freshly received the Bronx Blue. Wore it to the stadium.
Cost a couple bucks, but right,
Javi? Yeah. We'll talk about that later. Our accountants are not going to be happy with us. Toad and I are. Thank God Toad's dad is an accountant. Shout out to George Todoroff. We're probably going to need him here in a little bit because we have...
The IRS is coming calling.
We're going to cut that part out. But I couldn't echo anything you said more, Petey. We weren't in the building, Toad and I, but that vibe, the atmosphere was palpable. And I think we've seen that across baseball, right? Like the Phillies games last night, man, that was Tuesday night. Unbelievable electric atmosphere, man. Like there's something to be said for, hey, the big cities need good baseball. Like, dude, big cities, good baseball, pennant races. Like that is,
baseball needs those rivalries.
And something that is not considered that's, I think, factoring into this is the expansion of the wild card.
Yeah.
The fact that more teams are making the postseason making the trade deadline that much more exciting with more teams being buyers. And these games, and now we're entering August, September, teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates are all in. They're pushing to get into the playoffs. Cincinnati, St. Louis, the Mets. There's so many teams in the hunt.
They're right there. You're right. They're not out of it.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily in it right now, but they're not out of it.
It's taking more of an approach of the NHL and NFL playoffs and the idea like you make the tournament, you got a chance.
Yeah.
We talked to our
Arizona last year. Dude.
Exactly right, Petey. In our last episode, Craig Mish brought up the same thing. Yeah. Teams want to compete because if you get into the tournament like Arizona and Texas did last year, both wild card teams, you can make it to the World Series. Who knows what happens? Yeah. The best thing baseball has done, other than the pitch clock these last 5 seasons, is the expansion of the wild card, and we're seeing that with these much more exciting games with. Arguably one of the most tense and people glued to their phones for the trade deadline. I can't remember a trade deadline that's been so insane and nonstop like that. I know we were close to the fire.
Close to the fire.
Yeah, we were
buddy.
the fire. we were the gasoline.
So.
We were the gasoline. And for our Marlins people, again, you really got to go back one episode, our full conversation with Craig Mish. He dives into what he thinks Peter Bendix, and the Marlins.
We're on a first name basis.
We spoke with Craig there for but he really breaks it down, and I think he gives great perspective, not just from the Marlins side, but what GMs and front offices across the league, how they're approaching the trade deadline.
Well, Toad, I'll raise you one. I think if you listen to Adrian Lorenzo talk about how GMs go about sort of assessing what the trade deadline means to both buyers and sellers, and then you listen to what Craig Mish said, because obviously yesterday for the Marlins, it's going to be super easy for people to pile on in what's been a tough season. It's been a tough decade. It's been a tough 20 years for the Marlins, right? You need to try and find some of the sort of points of optimism, and Craig does a great job of bringing those out and giving us sort of peeling the curtain back of what the organization was thinking. Petey, one more thing I want to talk about your weekend. You were in the building with friend of the program, Mitch Haniger. I know Brady was on the field. That had to have been cool, man.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I think, like, one of the things I talked to Haniger about, Haniger is going to be a guy we'll get on here in the offseason. Hanny, just from playing with him, man, that's like one of the most, just like he's a professional to a T, man. Like he's so locked in every single time. Like, he's not a huge texter in the offseason. Obviously, like, he knows he's coming to town. Like, we'll link up and set stuff up. But, like, man, watching him when he gets to the field, watching him during BP, watching him after he takes BP, go get his glove, like get reads in the outfield. Like, he's played at Fenway probably a bunch of times, but, he's still learning how to play, like, down the right field line off the pesky pole. He'll go over and left. Like, he'll take some balls off the monster. He'll see how stuff's bouncing. Like, just like crazy stuff like that with him. And, me and Brady sat like down there close to the dugout, and he was DH in that night. So, like, just watching him in between innings and how, he's always like, he's working on his timing in the dugout. Like, he's on the iPad. Like, there's just a lot of different things that he's doing. And, just for me to have Brady there to be able to sort of watch that, and also lucky enough to be able to give that guy some merch, man. I mean, that guy's been a very, very good big leaguer for a long time. And, he continues to kind of be like a captain for those guys there. And I know he's been there for a while. And offensively, the Mariners aren't the best team in the league this year. I mean, their pitching staff is nasty. Logan Gilbert, boys.
Squeezed. You got squeezed.
Javi,
Squeezed.
I've watched a lot of baseball, right? I've seen a lot of guys throw in my life. I mean, we were close to the field, man, but Logan Gilbert, his 98, 99, 100 looked like 110, man. He hides the ball so well. He is so long and lanky. Like, those first two innings, Javi, I'm like, hey, this guy's got a chance at a no-hitter. He might throw a perfect game tonight. Like, that's how nasty I thought he was. And then, like you said, the Willie Abreu, whatever you want to call it, strike three, off the plate a little. But, like,
sure.
then all of a sudden, he puts one in play and the floodgates happen. But, yeah, Logan Gilbert, awesome. But, yeah, Haniger, hopefully we see him rocking some Bullpen Mafia gear around the ballpark. But good offseason guest, great dude, a pro's pro. Somebody that, for my son, I want him to watch Mitch Haniger and the way he plays and the way he goes about his business, because he's one of the best. Shout
out to Haniger, friend of the program, friend of the Mafia. I think that you touched on something, PD, earlier on in the segment. This is going to be our first baseball segment today. We're going to talk about the deadline.
Yep.
Obviously, Toad and I mentioned Craig Mish came on. The Marlins had a massive day of selling, buying prospects, if you can call it that. So we had a complete overhaul of the team. I think, how many starting players did he say? Seven, 8, depending on 7 or 8 on the field. Not to mention Trevor Rogers, bullpen pieces. So complete facelift of the team. Going to be something he mentioned too, a tough August. But again, we're going to see some of those pieces up. Pete, not a lot of movement from the Red Sox. I know that's something you touched on at your opener. Maybe, we're going to talk winners and losers, or are they either a winner or a loser in your eyes?
I mean, honestly, Javi, like, they're not, to me, a winner. First of all, I think the only way I'm going to say that the Red Sox are a winner in this is that Alex Cora gets an extension right
Boom.
before,
Go
right?
Canes.
Like, all right, so
Put up the U, Petey.
The U. So, like, to me, Javi, and we've talked about this before. We touched on this in the podcast very early on, right? The Red Sox and Alex Cora, it was like hey, we both know we're not seeing eye to eye. We're gonna part ways at the end of the year. Let's just get this over with. Let's ride out the 2024 season and then go from there. All of a sudden, they're playing good baseball. The trade deadline's looming. He gets a 3-year extension, which told me, or I think should tell the fan base, hey, man, this guy has done a great job. And, we're committed to him, and we're also going to be committed to winning. So I thought that might translate into a Jack Flaherty or like maybe you try to make a crazy move for like a Skubal or something like that. But, Jack Flaherty, Tanner Scott, like, those guys, Javi, I would be okay with bringing in a big name starter like that. I know the starting pitching for the Red Sox has been good, but like a Nick Pivetta, a James Paxton, who you go out and acquire from the Dodgers, like those are guys that have been around for a while. I don't mind bringing those guys and putting them in the bullpen if you can get a Tanner Scott or a Skubal or a Jack Flaherty and like really, really make a splash. I think I wanted to see them make a big time splash. I don't think you need, like, position player wise, I think they're okay. I think there's some moving parts around there in terms of where you can put some guys, but I don't think you need anything from that perspective. You definitely need some bullpen help, but for me, I'd be okay with going out, getting another starter, get a big name starter, maybe 2, and then moving some of those other arms if you have to. Cooper Criswell, like I said, Paxton, Nick Pivetta, those guys, move them to the bullpen. They've thrown in the bullpen before. Give me one more good starter and give me some good arms in the bullpen, and then I would give you a winner grade.
Woo! Let my man cook.
Yeah, but like again, I'm Javi, and I know the U. I know we throw up the U's here, right? I am happy because I think Alex Cora has done a fantastic job with this team this year.
There was no reason for Alex Cora not to get a deal in the offseason.
Right, overdue. And that's why I wonder too. I was like, why now? Like, are they saying like, hey, we didn't expect you or this team to be this good, but you've done a great job with what we gave you. Here's an extension. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that almost like a little slap in the face or no?
Yeah, that's what I mean. If I'm Cora, I'm thinking about it like, if I was your guy all along, you should have paid me in March. You know what I mean? Before
maybe it was a prove me season,
right?
And they have by far exceeded expectations, and that's all the proof they needed.
And that's why too, Toad. I think it's one of those like, yes, you exceeded expectations, and to me that means from a front office level, hey, we didn't give you much. Right? Like we didn't really do too much. Like we thought this team is a 500 team, even though we're going to sell, that we have the right people in the right places as an organization. I don't think they believe that at the end of the day. I just think that you have guys like Duran, Rafaela, like Willie Abreu. These guys are playing out of their minds. The starting pitching's been fantastic. Hey, Alex, sorry about what happened in the offseason, but you're doing so good now.
He signed the contract.
Like,
okay.
Yeah, that's true.
He wasn't that offended.
I'm just happy. I'm happy.
My boy got paid.
Good.
Nice deal.
Deserving.
$7 million a year. So, Petey, you're saying Red Sox are your loser?
Yeah, the only Red Sox loser, the only winner that comes out of that is Alex Cora.
Toad's loser? Go, Toad.
The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Okay.
They did nothing. They're horrific. They're a bad team. Mike Trout is again done for the year. Last season, when they had a chance to clear house and trade Ohtani for something, because you knew he was not going to resign with that godforsaken franchise, which is ironic considering their name. They should be banished to hell.
Wow!
Yo, hey, do not mess with the mafia, dude. Petey Scorcher, Toad is calling on religion.
At least my team, at least the Marlins are doing something about it, right? We have this conversation a lot. If you're going to win, go all in. If you're going to lose, you might as well be horrible.
Right.
The Marlins are doing that. The Angels hold on to everything they've got except the one closer that they sent to Philly.
Right.
They had an opportunity to get rid of, get something for Ohtani last year. They didn't do it. They have a bunch of guys on their roster now that are dead weight that they can flip for something to have some sort of eye in the future. Right now, it's just a franchise out west with absolutely no vision and a superstar that needs to get out of there.
It's hard to even rationalize. Like the Angels don't come across like my daily life. Like it's hard to. I don't
and
see
they have
the
one of the
games.
best players in the game.
Best players of all time.
Yeah.
Best players of all time. It's crazy.
It's
Sad. My loser, the Chicago White Sox. I thought if there's a team that is losing on the field, similar to what Toe just mentioned, the Marlins, they had a vision, they had a plan, at least what it seemed like. They're going to sell.
Yeah.
White Sox didn't sell. And then we have this back and forth between their ace, Garrett Crochet, and their general manager, who the general manager is basically wiping his hands clean, saying that he didn't know all this stuff about extension talk. This is the trade deadline, dude. If you're not using leverage as a player, as an agent, like agents and general managers do the same thing to the players. Good on Garrett Crochet and his team to say he wanted to sign an extension. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to be on the move. Wherever he was going to go, he was willing to sign. Chicago White Sox,
great move, dude.
Another team seems like they don't have a rudder, man. They're kind of just spiraling. I know Craig Mish said they might lose 120 games. That might be a real possibility.
They might set records.
And
they've had 2 separate 16-game losing streaks this year.
Unlike the Marlins, though, they have some serious star power on that team. Like they have some players, and it just hasn't shown.
Well,
so
they will have a new manager next season.
Petey, who's your deadline winner?
I mean, not to anybody's surprise, I don't think. I mean, the Dodgers, you go out, you get Flaherty, you get Kopech, Ahmed Rosario, Kevin Kiermaier, whatever. He's a veteran. He's a leader. He's been around there a little bit. I don't think those guys necessarily need that because they have a lot of those guys. But the Dodgers, they're, again, it's a big market team. They're not afraid to spend. They just go out and they do it. They don't talk about it. Right? Like it's not will they be buyers? No, they're going to be buyers every year. I don't think regardless of where they are in the standings, man, those guys have the money and they go out and they spend it. And I love that because I feel like sometimes around here, it's the same way. It's like, the Red Sox, like you guys, you're a big market team. You have the money. You've gone out, you've made moves in the past that have helped the team. I understand like ownership is different, over the years. But again, if you have the money, man, I just go out and spend it, man. That's how I feel. I really do. And the Dodgers, they're not afraid to do it, so they're always a winner in my book.
And I think one of their underrated acquisitions that was not via traditional trade is Cavan Biggio.
Yeah.
Their infield, now they brought back Rosario, they have a ton of athletic depth in the infield to give guys like Mookie a rest.
And what about my boy Kike?
Your boy Kike, bro.
I love Kike, man. Can we get Kike? If you're listening, man, can we get you on the pod at some point, bro? You're my favorite player in the league, I think. So I love you, man. We'll have to ask a couple of the guys. Maybe
Mafia goes to LA, possible.
Bro, just Kike, please, at some point, bro. We just want to talk to you.
Don't they still got to come to Miami?
Do they?
I think so. Yeah.
All right, let's try to get them.
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay. My winner. The Jazz Keys. That's bad. But New York Yankees, outside of Jazz,
start spreading the news. Sorry. We'll let you go.
It's not just the Clay Holmes show anymore. They picked up Mark Leiter and Eniel De La Cruz from San Diego. It's no pun intended, a real shot in the arm for their bullpen.
Good, Toad. Good. Well played.
But the Jazz acquisition, I think a little bit after the All-Star break and even going into it, the Yankees lost a little bit of their mojo. Austin Powers, anybody? No.
You guys get it?
Okay. It's late.
The Yankees lost, I feel, a little bit of their mojo. They went into the All-Star break limping. They came out limping. Jazz enters the frame, and they take 2 out of 3 in Boston.
They've won 5 in a row since they traded for Jazz.
They sweep Philly. They've won 5 in a row. So I think he brings a lot of energy. They got their swag back. It's great seeing Judge with a smile on his face. And I'm surprised Jazz is willing to play anywhere on the field. He's playing third base. He's playing center field. He's probably going to play a little bit of second base because Glaber can't go a night without committing an error.
Also, pro move by Jazz. Right before the deadline, there was a report the Yankees didn't know if Jazz could fit in that locker room, right?
Yes,
Remember
I saw that.
So
I saw that. Yeah.
Some agent posturing.
Fake report.
Fake report. What does Jazz do? He shows up. He says, I'll play third. I'll play wherever you want me. Juxtapose that with Gleyber Torres saying, I'm a second baseman. Could not have been more perfect timing for Jazz. And I will say one thing, Judge being happy, Soto being happy. Toto and I watched Juan Soto do the Euro step with Jazz. Like, there's one thing about a baseball team, dude. The Yankees just seemed tight. Everyone was clamoring that their lineups.
Bro, I gotta go.
No, time out, Petey. You know I'm right.
Some Yankees glazing, baby.
Jazz brings some irrational confidence because he's kind of like the Dion Waiters of baseball, bro. He's just gonna shoot. He's gonna swing. He doesn't care what happens.
Dude, get a room. You guys want to share a room, dude? Why don't you go sit next to Toe? There's plenty of room next to him, dude. You guys can fucking.
Javi's gonna get a shirt tonight too.
Oh man, I'm getting a shirt.
Unbelievable.
My winner.
Those guys are confident, though. I will say that,
Yeah,
boys. Like watching those guys at the top of that lineup, that's a confident bunch, and I love confident players. So whatever, just keep on going, Javi. What's your winner?
My winner is the hometown Miami Marlins. We've been tough on them on the show, but I think after our conversation with Craig Mish, we kind of Toto and I both.
You got to respect the direction.
You got to respect the direction. You got to respect the commitment to having a plan. And I think one of the things we learned was Peter Bendix wasn't necessarily a seller day one. Craig said he had conversations with him candidly where Bendix liked the pieces on this team. He didn't realize that Tim Anderson was going to go out and have his career worst year. Obviously, Ayoel Garcia, unplayable. So there was a lot of pieces on this team that they had expectations, didn't work out. He decided, I'm going to sell. I'm going to load this farm system up with volume of prospects, see if I can replicate what the Tampa Bay Rays did, and we'll see in the next couple of years. Granted, it's a tough time to be a Marlins fan, but yesterday, that Trevor Rogers trade, by all intents,
people buzzing.
People were buzzing.
People were actually excited. I haven't watched many games this year just because they don't score. They're not very entertaining. But now, these young guys they get from Baltimore, the young guys they get from New York for Jazz, I want to see these guys play. Yeah. I want to see what we're dealing with the next 2-3 years. Yeah. I'm going to be watching Marlins baseball in August and September.
We're back on Bally, baby.
We're back on Bally.
Are you really?
Thank you, Comcast.
We are able to watch games. So
hey, just make sure you guys sit in your right seats this time, dude. No more right field.
Hey,
dude.
we'll be in the building
next week.
At least twice next week.
Yeah.
Who's coming to town?
The Reds, Nick Martinez.
Nick Martinez,
our guest of this episode.
Shout out to Belen, Men for Others. That's enough deadline talk. We have our winners and losers. Next is a topic that hit close to home because he was one of our former teammates and it caught the baseball world by storm on Monday night. Brett Phillips takes the mound in, I don't know what league, admittedly, some sort of men's league.
Right.
But the gentleman got picked up by Pitching Ninja. I think Pitching Ninja, John Boy, the big accounts.
Brett Phillips owes his new career as a pitcher to Pitching Ninja.
What about us?
Us secondarily, but shout out to Pitching Ninja. Pitching Ninja posts videos. Did the Yankees, if that game were not posted by Pitching Ninja, do the Yankees know that he's playing in a men's league? Yes or no?
No. Do the Yankees know he's throwing 96? No.
Dude,
because right after how many hours after that video was posted does Brett Phillips have a contract with the Yankees? 12 hours.
Javi, you and I know Brett Phillips very well. Brett Phillips' social media team is like, I mean, it's like the President Trump's, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like that guy is walking around. There's cameras on him. There's PR people. Like that dude is. There is no doubt in my mind that Brett Phillips that video was going viral the second one out. What is it? 94 to 97, dude.
Pretty effortless too. It looked pretty natural. Like
and he's an athlete on the
athlete, dude.
Total athlete. So Tampa fan favorite. Big
famously made his rounds of video because he was kind of goofing on pitching, right? I mean, you could say that position players pitching, he was throwing like 35, 40 miles an hour, made an unbelievable sliding catch going into a dugout on a pop fly. Brett Phillips is a center fielder by trade, one of the top prospects in baseball, got traded for Carlos Gomez from the Astros to the Brewers organization, made it up to the big leagues with the Brewers, got traded to the Rays, bounced around a little bit.
Yeah.
Trying to make his way back as a pitcher, pitching in I don't know what league.
The NBC league.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that was. But the gentleman was throwing fuel balls.
Yeah.
And he's only 30 years old, right?
Only 30.
Hey, Rick Ankiel, I think he made his transition when he was 32, although it was opposite. He went from pitcher to fielder, right?
Yes. He was
It was the opposite.
Yeah. Which is probably harder. Rick Ankiel.
That is harder, dude.
He's making the quote unquote easier switch.
Yeah.
He's got plenty left in the tank. It's a relatively fresh arm.
Yeah. Well, look,
He's
another
always
guy.
had a cannon, dude.
I don't mean to go off topic, but another guy that played with us in the Brewers organization, Lucas Urseg, was with the A's, was a third baseman, really high draft pick. I think I want to say,
and guess
comp pick, maybe second round, just got traded to the
and our
Royals.
guest on the program,
Lucas
Nick Martinez
was
a shortstop in high school and college, and now he is one of the best relievers in baseball.
So, Petey, maybe we weren't such great athletes, bro. If everyone can just convert to pitchers, bro.
I mean, pitchers are the best athletes on the field. There's no doubt about that. Just give us an opportunity. But, dude, Brett Phillips will be a future guest of the program. The boys, we were texting him the other day. He is taking this very seriously. He is as locked in as it gets.
We're rooting for him.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we are rooting for him. He wants to get to the big leagues, man.
I need another Yankees jersey.
Oh, my God, dude. Enough with the bullshit, dude. You know what I mean? With the Yankee stuff.
I will say it was cool to see because I think Brett Phillips gets a lot of, obviously the laugh was viral, his running around the outfield with the airplane, but getting to see him throw 94, 97 was really cool, man. And we know, like Petey said, we know Brett pretty well, and we're rooting for him. So the Mafia will be certainly watching Brett Phillips closely the next couple of months.
You want to know the other crazy part is, like, remember when he ran in from the bullpen in Toronto that time, like that video of him in a dead sprint into the mound? And he was, dude, like you guys said, he was like, looked like he was throwing knuckleballs. Dude, the mechanics, I couldn't get it out of my head. The mechanics looked the exact same as when he was throwing 50 miles an hour, and then boom, there's 97. It's kind of insane, dude. When you think about it.
He's got a bazooka. The gentleman
he's
does
got
have
a cannon.
He's got a cannon.
Does. Yep.
Last segment, a fun one, or gross, depending on.
Fun, nostalgic, gross.
So the Olympics are happening, and France spent $1.2 billion on cleaning the River Seine. I think that's how it's pronounced.
The River
Seine. Toad, I could see you being an absolute menace in the Olympic Village. Running through the country. I know.
If Rizzing was an Olympic competition. So the river. This ties into baseball. Hang with me here. The river scene. I think it's Seine.
Whatever, bro.
Whatever. The river in Paris. Absolutely disgusting.
Gross
river. They spent a bunch of money.
The grossest river in Europe. This is like contamination levels. The nastiest river in Europe.
Is that a true fact, Javi?
Fact.
Okay.
Fact check me.
All right.
We have those.
We don't have shoots.
So the river is nasty. It gets cleaned up. They still went on with the triathletes anyways. And then today I come across a video on Twitter of a high school baseball player puking mid-delivery.
Was it Hauser?
Shout out to our boy Hauser.
Shout out Hauser. He's a puker.
If you haven't watched this video, Toad showed it to me from where he's sitting on the computer. I hadn't seen it yet. It's disgusting.
It's insane. The projectile
mid-pitch.
There's no way that if the batter, there's no way he saw that ball. Like, talk about Logan Gilbert deception, brother. Yeah. There is no way.
Guys are going to start puking on purpose. So two of the grossest things going on in one day today. You got people swimming through the river in Paris, and this kid puking mid-delivery. Got me thinking. You guys played in the minors for a good chunk of time. What is the grossest thing you've come across in a locker room, or some of the grossest, nastiest places you played in the minors?
Javi, I might have to go with the Beloit showers, dude.
Oh, dude. Dude, you don't even Toad. Like, you talk about shower shoes, dude, you need like cowboy boots to go into that. Like, go ahead, Petey. Sorry.
No, I was just like, I'm gonna say something on here that's like disgusting. Like, and you guys might be like totally grossed up by this, but like, I didn't always wear shower shoes. Is that gross?
Yes.
Okay.
Jail.
All right.
Jail.
So, okay. Now that I got that out there, I feel better. Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You didn't wear shower shoes because you didn't have, or because, dude, I'm tired. Let me just walk to the shower. I'm not even gonna throw these on. I'm going.
Honestly, Javi, a little bit of both, dude. I just I'm not a gross guy. I don't want people getting the wrong idea on the pod here, but I just where I'm getting at is when I looked in that shower, dude, I'm like, fuck, I need bubble wrap, dude. I don't even want to get clean in here. Javi, you felt dirtier leaving those showers than you did hopping in.
That's funny.
100%.
You know?
So Beloit,
yeah,
Wisconsin.
Beloit's got to be it. Yeah.
Those showers also had unbelievable. Dude, you're getting it was a water pressure. There was nothing stopping it from the wall. So this is just a shot of water. Dude, it was like punishment going to shower there. You might have just won a game and you played well and you got to go shower there. And you're like, dude, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Petey, I have two stories that I'm gonna say here.
Are they good ones?
And they're both Midwest League because I think the Midwest League.
Yes.
It's a fantastic league.
Oh my God, I got another one too when you're done. Go, Javi. And you might say it.
So, dude, Clinton, Iowa.
Oh my God, right? You got it.
Clinton, Iowa is on their stadium is built on the perimeter of the Purina dog food plant.
Yep. Yes.
Toad, when I tell you the waste and excess of the Purina factory at night in the summer, it is beyond the worst smells you've ever smelled. That is what it is on a baseball field. And there's one more thing that happens there. I talked about it the last episode. I was talking about the Nate Fryman story. I thought it was in Beloit. It's Clinton. They have so many bugs that go to the dog food plant. Okay. So there are dragonflies and they fly at the light level. Okay. As the game goes on, they start getting lower and lower. Dude, it gets to a point. If you ever play extra innings in Clinton, you might ask to forfeit because the bugs are flying. There are dragonflies hitting you in the face. Dude, you finish that game and you are in a dead sprint. Let's get the hell out of here. We are not staying one more minute than we have to. Clinton, Iowa, the Clinton Lumber Kings, that stadium, the smell, the bugs, dude, that is, if you want to talk about minor league grinders, that is grinding. And troughs in the bathrooms.
Yep.
No urinals.
Toad. Dude. I'm not Javi. The second you brought it up, I can taste it, I can smell it. I'm so grossed out right now. But Toad, the worst part is, dude, is you couldn't escape it. So you'd smell it at your hotel. You'd spend so much goddamn time in it. Dude, and this is so gross. I want to throw up right now. Dude, your post game meal, I felt like all I could taste, everything tasted like dog food. Because the smell was so obnoxious. Javi, thank you for saying that. I can't believe I didn't think about that, dude.
This is what the minor league unions were fighting for, so you guys don't have to play in that crap anymore.
It was bad. It was bad.
I think was there a Perkins there too? Javi's the only time I've ever heard of Perkins besides Tiger Woods. You know,
that's another Olympic Village menace. Tiger Woods.
100%. Toad and Tiger.
Top of the
ambient.
That's all we got for this first part of the segment. But we have a tremendous episode coming up with Belen Jesuit grad, Cincinnati Red reliever Nick Martinez. He's got a really cool story. Played in Asia, found his way back to the States, signed a contract with the Reds. He's going to be in Miami this week, so check out this episode. We're really excited to have him. Again, follow and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, wherever possible. We do have merch. Toad is going to put the link at the bottom of the YouTube page, and he's going to link it in our Spotify description. So get a chance wherever you can. And without further ado, we got Nick Martinez coming up on the other side of this little break. Like we teased out at the beginning of the episode, we got a very special guest with us. Our second graduate of Belen Jesuit. Toad is leading the tally mark over Columbus. Nick Martinez, right-handed pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds. I didn't want to introduce him as a reliever or a starter. He does both. Versatile. Do it all kind of arm for the Reds. So, Nick, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Nick, last night, speaking about Belen and how much we're just overall better guys.
Pump the tires, bro. Here we go. Father Willie.
Better guys than our Columbus rivals. You had quite the moment last night. There was rain before the Cincinnati San Francisco game last night, and a clip went viral of you helping out the grounds crew, barefoot, t-shirt and shorts, soaking wet, pulling the tarp with the crew. What inspired you to do that in that moment?
You know, it's not as heroic as it looked, to be honest. I was out. I normally do some grounding before when I get to the stadium before practice. So even when it's overcast, you can get the benefits of those UV rays. And I usually, as soon as I get to the clubhouse, I get in the cold tub for 3 minutes, go outside, warm up, use the sun to warm back up. It's really good for the body. And so as I was walking out there, we started to get some cloud coverage, and I saw I was kind of shooting the shit with the grounds crew there. We obviously interact with them a lot. It rains a lot in Cincinnati, so they're in and out of the dugout. Their hangout spot is actually directly behind. They have a pretty cool setup directly behind our dugout. They got a popcorn machine. They got the game. They got couches. So
Damn.
When I was a starter, I would go in there, maybe watch an inning, grab some popcorn, talk some crap with the guys, then go back out into the dugout. So I went out yesterday to do some grounding after the cold tub. Sun wasn't out anymore. They were about to pull a tarp, and one was like jokingly said, "Hey, you gonna help us pull a tarp?" I'm like, yeah, I got nothing else to do. I'm out here, gonna be barefoot anyways. And so it was for that reason. Then they threw the tarp out, rolled it out, and I was like, I don't think I've pulled a tarp since college. And even in college, we had we had a turf field, but in college summer ball, we pulled the tarp a couple times. So
it brings you back. When people don't realize pulling the tarp is hard as hell sometimes, man. When that tarp gets stuck on when it's really dry or it's really wet and it's really heavy, it's a pain in the ass, man. People don't realize those are unsung heroes right there, the grounds crew, man.
Yeah. It's been a while. They asked if brought back any memories from the early days. I said, not good ones. No,
never good ones. You were pulling tarp in college at Miami. It was like the guys who they knew weren't going to play, that their uniform could just get soaked. So it's like you're pulling a tarp. It's like, oh, mom and dad, you can probably go home. Like I'm not playing today.
I'm more focused on the grounds crew hangout. Father Willie's gonna have to build one of those at the new baseball facility.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a pretty cool little spot they got back there. Every stadium has their hangout spot, and like they're usually by the bullpen, and ours is behind the dugout. Washington Nationals have theirs by the bullpen, behind, like, to the left of their bullpen, and so the visiting bullpen's in left field, and there's usually tunnel access. And on usually days I know I'm down, I'm not pitching, I'll venture stadiums to see what they got back there. Like, I mean, I'll venture through the tunnels, and they got like a ton of bobbleheads and giveaways and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, when I was in Nationals, they still had Juan Soto bobbleheads. I was like, man, that'd be a cool one just to take back to the dugout.
That's like MTV Cribs, bro. The guts of the stadium. Like, Nick Martinez. That's an idea, bro. Nick Martinez tours the stadium during games.
I could have got the GoPro to my hat or something. And so I'll do that. And but by far the coolest one is in Anaheim. Those grounds crew guys, they have the rocks in Anaheim is underneath those rocks. And they have a really cool setup in there. Yeah, it's pretty.
You could probably go back there during the middle of the game, play some NCAA.
They'll have darts. Some guys have darts. I mean, they'll have a little hoop. Our grounds crew, like, they're behind the dugout, but then where they carry their, all the machinery, the John Deeres and all that stuff is in our bullpen in center field, and in there they have a hoop. They got wiffle ball.
What?
The rain delays, we might shoot some hoops. We might play some wiffle ball or something.
Forget podcasting. I want to try it.
Yo, toe to the grounds crew. That wasn't the only viral thing last night. Obviously, we're recording this Saturday, August 3rd. Friday, August 2nd. You were on the wrong side of a no-hitter, unfortunately, but it was a former teammate, Blake Snell. Unbelievable performance. He's had an unbelievable, seems like the last 6 weeks, his last 50 so innings have just been out of this world. So from a pitcher standpoint, you had one of the best seats in the house watching that. What was that like, Nick? I mean, to watch not only a former teammate, but be part of a historic night like that, a no-hitter.
Yeah, his stuff is suffocating, right? Like, his fastball is really impressive, and his breaking pitches just disappear from the zone, right? And guys, you can see that in the type of swings that he creates in his breaking pitches, and just the uncomfortable swings guys take on his fastball. And a lot of guys, the approach seems to be a little bit more patient, because he can walk guys. Obviously last year he walked the most and still won the Cy Young. So, but last night he was just absolutely nails, man. He was commanding the ball so well, inside, outside, up, down. I mean, it was really impressive to watch. And I think early on, from a pitching standpoint, we were like, this is going to be a tough one for us. And obviously it turned out that way.
He made the ninth inning look so easy, and it was he had to face Dela Cruz too, got him on one pitch. And it's just business as usual.
Go ahead.
No, to me, the craziest part was it was his first complete game, period, in his career.
Right.
So
that goes to like his spraying, right? Like he can walk guys. He's not that efficient. And yesterday he was both.
It's absolutely crazy. And Nick, I guess, in terms of your baseball journey, obviously last year with the Padres, Darvish, Snell, was that something that was just like a complete learning experience? Are you picking those guys' brains constantly to try and evolve your stuff? I know you're a student of the game. You talked, earlier in the episode, some of the stuff you do pregame, but like in terms of learning from guys, was Snell and Darvish, some of those experiences, what were they like learning from two of those guys? Some of the nastiest stuff in the big leagues from both of those guys.
Yeah, more so from Darvish. Snell being a lefty, and he's just coming in and kind of his stuff. He has this natural ability, the raw stuff that's. He rolls out of bed and can throw 97. And like, it's naturally.
Those guys suck, man. Those guys
pound the zone, right?
Yeah.
So Darvish has the talent to be able to spin the ball and command, read swings, and so I would pick Darvish's brain and Joe Musgrove's brain the most. I think when it came to that staff.
Nick, you talk about your years in San Diego. Obviously, I would say that's really propelled you, right? You had, and we'll get into your baseball journey, but last year you're in San Diego. This year, move over to Cincinnati. Obviously, different sort of vibe in terms of cities, but what went into your thought process in the offseason and ultimately your decision to sign with Cincinnati?
Cincinnati, when I first came as a Padre last year, so we come once a year. They play at our place, we come to their place, and we came at the, I'd say it was like June or July when we came in. And the energy, the vibe that they had in the clubhouse, you can feel it across the field, how good of a clubhouse that was, the energy, the fight to want to win and all that stuff. You could feel that playing against them. And ultimately that's really important. You don't want to go to, those are horror stories when you hear, clubhouses aren't in good shape or it's toxic. Like, it just makes the season very miserable and long. It's already a long season. You don't have a good clubhouse, makes it to the nth degree worse. And so that was very important. Them wanting to win, kind of, all right, this is our chance. This is our window to kind of push forward. We want to win now. We got our young core. We're adding a few pieces. We think we can really make a push in this division. And the division was up for grabs, right? There's no, there's no Dodgers or Houston or Rangers that are kind of just taking off with the division. So the division seemed up for grabs. Unfortunately, it didn't happen that way, and there's no way to predict that. Just you want to be on a team that wants to win and has a good clubhouse. And so it made it pretty easy for me to, make that decision at that point. And then also being on the East Coast, easier flights for the family. I got 2 kids and 1 on the way. So easy flights, same time zone. So we're just, it makes it being in San Diego, I loved San Diego. I lived on Coronado. I was on the beach all the time. The fans are unbelievable in San Diego. I absolutely loved playing there. They were the first team I wanted to go back to when I opted out. I thought I was going to go back. But again, it just didn't happen that way. And, we're happy with the decision that we made now.
2 questions for San Diego quickly. Number one, how good are fish tacos? And we did a ballparks ranking, and Petco was the consensus number 1. How great is Petco Park?
Fish tacos are great. We had a lot of those in the clubhouse, for lunch and for post batting practice. And the stadium is electric, man. It's so much fun. It's a huge party. The fans come out, they look to party, they're getting after it. They want to see us win. They're rooting for us.
That's what we're looking for down here, man. We're waiting. We've been patient.
I've said it a bunch of times where Miami can be the Padres if they were committed to winning. If the front office, unfortunately, if they were committed to winning at the big league level, and they're more committed to, kind of bringing the prospects and developing players. And I mean, they're good at that too, but at the big league level, if they were to kind of spend a little bit more, you would see, you could bring in if the front office showed that they were committed to winning at the big league level, the fans would come in. I think they're very similar markets.
Javi and I were in the building for the World Baseball Classic last summer, and holy crap, what an atmosphere. Yeah. When the roof is closed on that place and there's people in there, it's absolutely electric. And we went for Nicaragua, Puerto Rico. Like,
Right.
Puerto
Right.
Rico, it was 90% Puerto Rico fans, but it was like Game 7 of the World Series for them, and it was an opening
Yeah.
round game.
I mean, just like San Diego, Miami people like to party. So imagine what we were committed to winning.
Yeah.
What that could be, what that environment could be like then. Yeah.
I think this is a perfect segue, Nick. We got, obviously recording this on a Saturday. Early next week, you come back to Miami. I think on a personal level, it's got to be a tremendous thrill, right? Play in front of your family and friends. And I know Toad alluded to it, but Belen Jesuit's doing a Belen night at the park.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Gathering as many alumni as possible to come and watch you pitch. So in terms of, obviously the long season, maybe not the record the Reds would hope to have, but there's got to be such a nice point in the middle of the year to come back home to Miami and play in front of your family and friends.
Yeah, it's really cool. Coming with San Diego, we had an off day that was nice, but now going with Cincinnati, going 4 days. What Belen is doing is going to be really special. I'm going to try to get out and say what's up to everybody before that game that they're going out there, and it's always nice. I mean, the support that I get whenever I go home is unbelievable. I mean, I leave a bunch of tickets for family, friends. There's usually a whole section coming to watch me play, and usually by the third game, I'm tired. I'm seeing everybody. I want to go. Again, the support I feel the support. I love it. I'm blessed, man, really, to have that kind of support system and not just family, right? I mean, it's buddies, high school buddies, friends of friends that know me. I mean, it's real cool.
I think we can go on a limb and say it's going to be the loudest section in the park on all weekend long.
Usually is.
And we're here for it, man. That's awesome.
There might be more Nick Martinez jerseys and jerseys than whoever's
total.
left on the Marlins at this point.
Yeah, probably.
But Nick, this is the Bullpen Mafia. You are in a unique spot where you've had experiences as a starter and as a part of the quote unquote Bullpen Mafia. Can you talk a little bit about the differences in your preparation on game days that that you're either going to be starting or you're going to be an opener versus coming out of the bullpen and just a regular relief role?
Yeah. So my routine is the same, really. I either do it before the game as a starter or I do it in the bullpen before going in. Sometimes it can be a little condensed. But really, to get my body going, I have my routine, and in the throwing program, it's usually the same. Obviously, I'll do my throwing program before batting practice as a reliever and right before the game as a starter. So what really sets everything apart is I'm really good at monitoring my workload and what I do for catch every day to be able to bounce back and forth. I use the pulse, the driveline pulse sleeve. I have a trainer in Tampa that helps me kind of monitor my workload week to week, month to month, plan ahead, and it's basically a little chip that counts every throw, but obviously it also it'll measure different stress levels, right? Like everyone has their own arm angle and amount of force that they put into each throw. So this is a unique way of monitoring how I'm going about my throwing and the game so that I can be a little bit more dynamic in how I train the next day and what I can give the team in terms of innings and whatever role I'm in. So it allows me to be on my toes constantly all the time to be able to, hey, I can give you one, like yesterday I threw one inning to prepare for multiple innings when I'm in Miami. Right. And then I can, after that, I can see how my body's feeling. Okay, hey, now I'm ready to give you another inning. Basically be more available in those situations, in high leverage situations more often.
Managers got to love you, right? I mean, managers, pitching coaches, because the ability to be versatile, I think in today's day and age is so important. And I guess, you talked about some of the preparation and the workload. When did you get so in tune with your body and how you were feeling? Was that something you were, sort of, I know in my personal experience, I was never in tune with my body until I think once I got out of baseball, I realized there was a certain level of, intensity and discipline that you need to have to make it to the major leagues. And then once you're there, to sustain it over a long 162 game season. So at what point did you really learn that and get so in tune with your body and your workload?
I would have to say all the way back when I got drafted, when I became a pitcher. I wasn't a pitcher until I got drafted. And I had this, a realization. I was really aware that, hey, I got one shoulder. I'm not a position player anymore. Right? Like as a position player, if your arm hurts, you can still contribute with the bat, with your legs, with your defense, and kind of just get the throws there, right? Like you have other, facets of your game that you can contribute to help a team win. If I'm hurt as a pitcher, that's it. I'm out. I may not be pitching again. I have a career done, right? There's that possibility. So from early on, I was like, okay, I really have to take care of my arm and my body and see where it's at. So I always had the awareness. It wasn't until 2019 I got hurt in Japan. Going into that, after that season, going into the 2020 off season, when I started using the pull sleeve, it was Modus then to be even more, on top of how many throws and try to, be more efficient with my throwing. And it's helped me out tremendously since then. So I might be the only pitcher in the league that has every throw documented since 2020.
Wow. That's
every throw I've ever made, it's documented. I have it. The workload. It's all in the what do you call those CSV files? I got it all on my phone.
In the cloud somewhere, right?
Yeah, somewhere, but we got it.
But that's so cool, right? Because I think in today's day and age, there's so much information overflow, but it's all yours, right? So exactly the good ones, the bad ones, right, how you felt, and you can sort of work backwards. And I think you talked about early in your career the transition from position player to pitcher. You played at Fordham. You were a middle infielder. Get drafted by the Rangers, transition to pitcher. You make your major league debut with the Rangers, pitch in the big leagues with the Rangers. Then you make the move to Japan. What went into that decision to move to Japan, Nick? What exactly were the factors? And then what did you learn from it and come back? And obviously your career has taken off since then. You come back, you sign with the Padres, you sign with the Reds in this offseason. So what was the impetus to move to Japan, and what did you take out of that experience?
Well, going into after the 2017 season, I was going into arbitration. I thought I was going to be protected. I thought I was going to be tendered a contract. I didn't have that great a year. That platform year wasn't a good year, but I had, kind of stacked it. The chips weren't really stacked on my side. I was constantly moving between, AAA, the big leagues, the bullpen, the rotation. Not a lot of direction of what they wanted from me, or I didn't know how to handle really being sent up and down so many times. That itself mentally is a grind. It's not an easy thing to do. So, but given all that, I still thought, okay, they know what I'm capable of doing. Maybe they'll tender me a contract, and then, okay, now let's get to work. Let's kind of get this guy on the right page. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. And I didn't want to be labeled. At that time, once I was non-tendered, every offer I got from other teams was non-roster invite. Here's a split contract, major league, minor league, and I didn't want to be a depth guy. They kept kind of labeling me as a depth pitcher. He's good. He's a great pitcher in AAA. We can rely on him to call him up to the big leagues. We'll DFA him if we have to, or send him down. I wanted to avoid that. I knew, even though I had some bad years, I believed in myself enough to hey man, I can help a team win from beginning to end. I just got to figure it out. And that was the opportunity that I got in Japan. I was like more consistent. There's teams that they take more seriously, or they invest more in players that do well in Japan, come back to the big leagues and have a career. You had Kobe Lewis and Miles Michaelis. They both, went to Japan, came back and had great careers in the big leagues. And so I felt like teams took that more seriously than a guy that was in AAA doing well and then called up and then back down and having to stick and having to go through that process of arbitration again. And so I was like, dude, I'm going to go to Japan, work on my craft, do what I got to do to get back to the big leagues. And there's a unique situation when you come back to the big leagues from Japan. You can negotiate being a complete free agent. I don't have to go back into the arbitration process. And so essentially I did my arbitration years in Japan, being paid what I would have been paid in arbitration in the big leagues. And so I was able to grow as a person, as a player. It allowed me to playing over there. I mean, those guys, it's like death by 1,000 cuts there. Like they may not have the power that we have in the States, but they have really good plate discipline. They like to clog the bases, which we're seeing more of that style come to the States now, coming to the MLB now. We're a lot more hit and runs and bumps and stealing and kind of just keeping the bases clogged and having more pressure on the pitcher. Before, when analytics first started, everyone was trying to hit home runs. Pitchers didn't really care if you give up 3 solo shots, you can still have a quality start. You can still be in control of the game. But when you constantly have someone on second base, first base, second base, those are very stressful pitches. That pitchers hate that.
Yeah.
You can't stand it. You're focusing. You're splitting your focus on the runner and on the hitter, and it's nearly impossible to multitask. So the game is starting to move that way. And having done that in Japan, that's one of the things I learned more on the mental side. And then I started learning the analytics and understanding myself on how to use, what my pitches and what my metrics do and how to use them properly. So it was a combination of mental growth and a physical growth and understanding what my metrics do. And then, I put that together in 2021, and that happened to be, the Olympic year where I was on a global stage, and I had a really good year during the season as well. And it brought me back to the States with Padres, for 2 years.
With the Olympics going on now, does it bring back any memories of playing in Tokyo with that team?
Yeah.
It was in the midst of COVID, so an interesting audience
really
was
cool
at the games. But Javi and I while we were prepping for the interview, we were taking a look back at the roster on that Olympic team. There's some studs on that team. They were former pros.
Yeah.
There's guys who are back in the big leagues now, sort of like yourself. So even Mike Scioscia was the manager. What was it like?
We had a Belen Columbus representation.
Eddie Alvarez.
Eddie.
So what was that experience like? How did that factor into you coming back to the States as well? Did that help your confidence and your you mentioned it on a global stage, your stock was up. You're playing in front of everybody.
Right. Yeah. That team was awesome. We were together for like 3 weeks, but it felt like we've been playing together for 2 years. We hit it off from day one, and the chemistry led by Todd Frazier and Eddie and some of the other guys. The camaraderie that we had was amazing. And we had some studs. We had some young prospects that are now established big leaguers. We had some older guys that were kind of using this as their farewell tour. And we had some older guys like myself and even David Robertson that were using it to like get back in the leagues. And McGuff too. He's with the Diamondbacks now. He kind of used that to propel himself back into the big leagues. And so it was an amazing opportunity, man. To represent your country and to use, to just to be around, right? Like you're watching the Olympics now. And it's so much fun to see these athletes. I'm watching to see if I remember any of the faces that were, because we all share a building, right? We're all in the same apartment complex. And so we see each other every day. You're around these different athletes, and you just want to ask questions like, how do they prepare? And
right.
What's their diet? What's their training like? We obviously, baseball players have the worst diet, probably in the entire village.
Yo, come on, give us some credit. Give us some credit.
We probably have the worst. We probably have the worst training, out there, right? Like we're very. It's a very skilled, very it's a very skilled sport, right? So like I don't have to run so much or lift that much weights. I have to do a very specific training to be able to do what I do. And so just asking around, seeing what they're doing. I've talked about this before, but I remember talking to one of the track girls and talking about how they're preparing for their meet or their heat or whatever. And we had just finished playing the quarterfinals, I think, or semifinal. We were going to the gold medal game, and we had McDonald's after our game. And I told this track athlete that, and the look of disgust on her face when I told her that we absolutely crushed McDonald's. We loved it, and she was like, "Yeah, and you competed after that?" We're like, "Yeah, we crushed it."
Not only did we compete, we're playing for the gold medal, baby.
Yeah, we played gold medal. After the gold medal game, we had Papa John's too. And like, oh, what are you doing?
Hey, man,
so that part's really cool.
Nothing more nostalgic than having a slice of pizza after playing a baseball game, right? Take you back.
Right. Yeah, we win a game. We represent America. What's more American than having McDonald's, right? We were just
that's amazing.
Crushing it. We were crushing it. And then obviously playing those other countries, like every game is a playoff game, right? There's no season. Every game matters. Every win matters. And so we, that obviously helped my stock coming back, where I faced the two best teams going into that tournament, right? I faced Korea. I think were the defending champions in the Beijing, or it might have been 2012. I think they won it, and then Japan going in it, they were the favorites because Japan stopped their whole league for that tournament and sent all their all-stars, and so did Korea. Korea sent all their all-stars. Obviously, you don't have the Major League Japanese or the Major League Koreans. They weren't allowed to go, and so and no Major League or 40-man roster players were allowed to go to the Olympics. And so we had to form guys with prospects, older guys with experience. It was kind of a combination, but I got to face the Korean team and the Japanese team, and I did well. And so that kind of helped my case even more to come back.
Did you feel like you had a pretty good beat on those Japanese guys? I mean, you probably had seen a bunch of them in playing overseas in Japan, right? I mean, did you feel a level of comfort going against those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I knew what they were trying to do. I had 4 teammates on that team.
Wow.
On my current team, I had 2 other former teammates on that team, and then a lot of guys that obviously in Japan there's only 12 teams, so you're facing the same guys. They don't do interleague play. They only do interleague play for a month, and so you're playing the rest of you're playing your division for 5 months, and then you're playing the other division for 1 month, and so they've seen me, I've seen them, and so it was more of a cat and mouse game than it was just like, all right, I'm coming out to attack. Like if you didn't know I played in Japan, you just thought it was a regular game. But I was kind of, being in Japan at the time, the fans were they were rooting for me because it was like one of their own,
Right.
their own country, and so I had a lot of fans, supporting me. A lot of Japanese fans supporting me. As an American in those games, and then obviously they understood. Oh, like okay, they know what he's got. He knows what they're trying to do. Like it's kind of it was a really interesting cat and mouse going on, and I had like a shaky first inning, and I think a shaky 4th inning, and I was able to get out of it. And then unfortunately we lost, but it was a really cool game to watch. And obviously my teammates understood that too. Like they know, okay, this guy's played Japan. Like what is he? Who's going to make the adjustment first?
How's your Japanese? Is there any smack talk in Japan, or do you need
Not
a
really.
translator
It's
for that?
not a whole lot of smack talk. A lot of respect. They're big on respect there, and respecting the game, respecting your opponent. So if anything, there's more teasing going on. If you know the other player. Like I play now. I have Seiya Suzuki in my division.
Uh-huh.
I'll play against him, and we'll tease each other. When we face each other, and he got a hit off me the other day, and I think I was like egging him on. There was like a shallow pop fly to center field when he was on first, and I was like egging him on to go. You should go take second. And our center fielder caught it, so I was kind of teasing him that way. And whenever when I see Darvish and Yamamoto, I pitched against Yamamoto so many times. In Japan, so when I see him, I always talk to him and say what's up, and he's really fun to watch. And Imanaga with the Cubs, he was a rookie when I first like my 2nd year or 3rd year in Japan, I think. Maybe even 1st year, he was a rookie. So I mean, he had a lot of hype even in Japan, and was a really good pitcher his rookie year. And so I would play against him more in either interleague. I don't think he matched up against us in interleague, but in the spring training games, I did see him pitch quite a bit. And so obviously I'll always talk to the Japanese guys, especially if I played against them. So I think it's kind of cool to maintain that connection.
Nick, we got 2 more questions for you. One, Toad wants to take away sort of some of your viral shortstop moments, but I think before we get there, I think you mentioned representing your country, starting in the gold medal game. You just took us through your baseball journey, right? You were at a point in your career with the Texas Rangers where they didn't necessarily have the belief in you that you had in yourself. Go to Japan, reinvent yourself, and you have this tremendous, career culminating most recently, 2.5 years ago, pitching in a gold medal game with a USA across your chest. What would 10-year-old Nick Martinez going into Belen, 12-year-old Nick Martinez playing shortstop think about? 15, 20 years later, you're starting on the mound against Japan with your country, playing for the gold medal. That must be, in terms of a baseball journey, you've done a lot of cool stuff. Like that must have been unbelievable for you and your family. Yeah,
man. I mean, being a big leaguer and representing my country are, some of the first things I remember ever wanting, right? Like I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. And while I was, daydreaming or manifesting that as a kid, I would always also envision myself playing for Team USA. I just, just the honor that comes with, right? And to see both of those things come to fruition, it's I mean, I'm playing with house money, man. I mean, I'm having a blast doing it, and I feel incredibly blessed. And although as a kid, I did envision myself playing in the infield doing these things. I didn't want to pitch when I was a kid. I liked the idea of playing every day. I didn't really like the idea of pitching every so often. And it wasn't until I got drafted where I was when I fell in love with pitching and realized quickly like I don't have what it takes to be a hitter in the big league. So being a major league pitcher and having represent my country is an amazing accomplishment, man. And I feel blessed that every time I think about it, I just, thank God for it.
We get goosebumps, man.
Yeah.
We were looking at it today. We were watching some of the videos of you guys in Tokyo and that game. And, obviously not the result you guys wanted, but still a tremendously played baseball game. And I think in a time where everyone was just looking for something to look forward to, that baseball team was a uniting factor, man. It was so cool. I think for us, especially you and Eddie being locally from Miami, we were constantly rooting. I remember my brother and I would wake up early to watch the games. Like we went at a time where the world needed something that was really cool, man. And to say we had people from that, one of us, like you guys are one of us, regardless of 1 degree of separation, it was so cool to see. So
yeah, it was really special. And for Eddie to be the flag bearer, I mean, and to win a medal, I think, I hate to say it, but Columbus kind of,
come on, man. Whoa. We're trying to get Belen alumni to share this video, Nick. Take it easy.
I know they one upped us there. He's one of 6 athletes of all time to medal in both the winter. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to have to start skiing or something.
You're the first athlete to have a Belen diploma and a silver medal, all right? Like that's got to be worth something.
I'm going to start training for the Winter Olympics here. I can't let Columbus go get away.
Imagine Nick Martinez in the Winter Olympics, dude. He's shooting down one of the sides of the mountain.
Something. I got to pick. Yeah, I got to find the lowest hanging fruit in the Winter Games. Even if I'm a training staff,
maybe some curling. You got
curling, yeah.
It seems natural for a pitcher.
I don't know. Yeah. I was about to say relatively easy, but I'm not going to make that mistake. No, it's not easy.
Don't make any assumptions about those high skill sports.
Yeah.
Nick, a few times you've mentioned being an infielder, and there's been a couple moments in the big leagues where it looks like your shortstop muscle memory kind of snaps into, watching, it looks like you're having an out of body experience. There was one play this year in Yankee Stadium against DJ LeMahieu that no look behind the back. And then another one, your first stint in the majors in Texas, you snagged an Andrelton Simmons straight up line drive.
Yeah.
Man, do you feel that athleticism from being
Yeah. I'll take ground balls. Not that these plays were any bit of, showing athleticism. A lot of it was luck and instinct. But I still take ground balls in the infield. I like to feel athletic. I think once you fully adopt the pitcher only mentality, I think you start to go downhill. You start to get hurt. You start to get just one dimensional. Injuries start to happen. You lose that athleticism. So I'll take ground balls with our infielders. I'll make different angled throws. I try to be as athletic as possible when I'm doing PFPs. And so I think it plays. I do mess up a lot. Don't get me wrong. I also get the most crap from the position players when I make an error on the mound because they see me working.
Like, oh, you're really one of us.
And then I make the error. So Rudy Odor will always give me crap for being a bad fielder. But I think it translates, man. I think it translates. And with those 2 plays, the first one in Texas, it was a line drive, but I promise you, when plays like that happen, it feels like they're in slow motion. And I remember like the ball coming right at me, felt like it was going real slow. And I just remembered, okay, I think I can get a glove on it. Maybe I can knock it down and get it out at first. I didn't think I was going to catch it, but it was in a very unique spot where I felt like I can get a glove behind it. Kobe Lewis, I saw Kobe Lewis do it a bunch when I was with Texas, and he was like my mentor, showed me how to be a big leaguer and how to pitch, how to maneuver through games. And he would wear stuff off the body. He once wore a line drive off the head, and Rugi caught it for an out. Like he didn't move. He kept pitching that game. But he's done the behind the back, and he had done it a couple times with ground balls. And I was like, man, I should try that. Like that looks awesome, And I remember in AAA, any kind of ground ball, I would try to start, and I wouldn't get a lot of them right. Like I would nick a couple, or they would just go through, and our shortstop or second baseman would catch it. And so and for that one, it just happened to be like the perfect placement. Ended up catching the line drive and doubling up. And the one in Yankee Stadium this year, I did it also in Japan. The year I came in 2021, and in Japan I was featured in the ESPN top 10 plays with the same thing. It was like a ground ball, caught it behind my back, turned the double play, and then this year in Yankee Stadium, it was like a weird situation. It was like the perfect bounce and hit soft enough where I was able to think and react. And
the presence of mind, you went to third base.
Yeah, he hit it, and I was like, I know it's behind me. I was like, I know I can catch this. I know it's going to land here. And so that one was more of, there was more awareness on that one. I knew I caught it, knew there was a guy on second, knew he was going to go, right? Like, he doesn't think I'm going to catch it, and it's hit soft enough where he's going to make it to third. So he was kind of caught in the middle there, and that one was a pretty cool play. But I just try to be as athletic as possible.
So if Ellie De La Cruz or Jonathan India and all the backup infielders, God forbid they get hurt.
I've been asked.
Yeah, or in 14th, 15th inning, crazy extra inning games, is Nick Martinez coming out of the bullpen to play shortstop?
I'm telling you, pitchers take a lot of pride in being that last fielder, even the runner. Like when it's a weird game and we're down a guy in the dugout, like the pitchers that are where the coach tells them, hey, put on spikes, you may need to run. We're like, egos inflated. Our heads are this big. We're like, oh yeah, no problem, I got that. Like, we're like thinking we're going first to home. We might even steal a bag. I don't know.
Hey, the bases are bigger now. All right, it's easier.
A little bit easier. So we take a lot of pride in that. We talk some crap to the other pitchers. Like, yeah, I'm first up. I'm first up pitcher. That if they need a guy to run, and then I'm also that guy defensively. Like, they asked me this year, like, what position are you most comfortable playing? And with that, I was like, infield. Throw me in the infield, no problem. I'll play wherever.
You get home, you call your agent. You may need the oven mitt. You need a smaller infield glove. You get some more swag coming your.
I get on the base pass. You don't know what's gonna happen. I might start asking for deals left and right. Double oven mitt. I might put a third one in my pocket. Just for swag.
Just for swag. Nick Martinez, ambassador for the USA, gold medal pitcher, also ambassador for pitchersareathletes.com.
Hey, you wanted a second sport, maybe track and field, man.
There you go.
Just don't have any.
I'm not fast enough. I'm not that fast.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, Nick, it's been a true pleasure to catch up with you, man. We really appreciate it. As a couple Miami guys, and obviously Toad as a grad of Belen, we're obviously super proud of you, man. We watch your career closely.
Thanks, man.
It's been a tremendous journey thus far, obviously, and there's still more to come. I think the best years of Nick Martinez are still ahead of him, right?
And the Reds, they're still in it.
I hope so.
And Cincinnati's still in the wild card hunt.
We're fighting. Yeah,
we're not giving up just yet.
Yeah. We got Nick Martinez in Miami this week, coming down with another friend of the program, Brent Suter. So we look forward to seeing you guys in action at Lone Depot. I'm sure there'll going to be a big family, big friend contingent, big Belen contingent. So
the Mafia will be there as well.
Mafia will be there.
Awesome. Looking forward to see you guys, man.
Nick, thanks, man, best of luck the rest of the way. We really appreciate it, man. And go Reds.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.